Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Islamic Defense Podcast. So, a year ago, I had an interesting talk with a brother named Jazib Kaleem. Now, brother Jazib is an engineer and he has a small YouTube channel. And he believes in human evolution because this view is not supported by the majority. So, I was kind of curious. So we had a discussion, a live discussion, and I told him that if I make my views on evolution more clear on my channel, I would post the discussion on my YouTube channel. So since I have posted that video, and you guys can check it out, by the way, it's my video on rationality rules and evolution. So this is going to be our discussion between me and brother Zaid Kalim. And by the way, I want you guys to be not be disrespectful towards brother Jazib Kalim because I disagree with him. Obviously, I don't believe in human evolution, but he does, and he has some vague justification for it. But I don't really agree with that. But still, don't want you guys to be disrespectful. Try to be as respectful as you can in the comment section. If I see any disrespectful comments, I will delete it. So yeah, with that, without further ado, let's get started.
So, is it okay if we record this conversation?
Brother asked a very good question.
Sure, no worries. I have no issues.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay. So, when did you start your YouTube channel?
I started my YouTube channel in April. Yeah, April this year.
Oh, April, huh?
Yeah.
So, how's it going so far?
It's going so far so good, alhamdulillah. I mean,
Okay.
I'm enjoying it.
I can respect that.
Okay. How did you get interested in
Science!
Tell me about that.
Well, I'm an engineer by profession, so I've been studying
Science!
for quite a while. I mean, I got interested in science quite early, though. I mean, I was always interested in, it started off by when I was a young kid, I wanted to know what planets are. And I started off with...
Yeah, that's like every kid's
getting my,
go to.
Yeah, I started off with knowing my favorite planets, and then later on it went to dinosaurs. And then, although I didn't study much about dinosaurs, though, but still, it was gradual. And at some point in time, I became a little too interested in science, so now I'm here.
Yeah. No, I also
Love science!
when I was little, I used to love Neil deGrasse Tyson. I was a huge fan of that guy. Like, I love that guy.
MashaAllah.
Seriously, I think Neil deGrasse Tyson is the shit.
But as I grew up, I had some issues with him because I noticed that he always kind of talked down on religion and religious people, and I kind of didn't like that. So we wanted to actually discuss about evolution. So should we get started?
Sure, fair enough.
Okay, bro. So what is your opinion on human evolution and Islam and how to reconcile the two things?
To be honest, I don't think that there is anything wrong with evolution or Islam. I don't find whether or not Islam has anything against evolution, to be honest. Well, so far, so good. At some point in time, I was of the opinion that evolution cannot be true, because I was of the opinion that Adam alayhi salam cannot come from an ape, and na'uz billah. And that was a misconception in itself, because evolution does not say anything like that. So the more you learn about evolution, the more you come into the academics of it, and the more you realize is that it's not just Darwin in evolution. Although Darwin is the strongest theory as of now, which we have, but the thing is, I don't fully associate to Darwin for reasons which are irrelevant to religion, to be honest. So my reconciliation with evolution in Islam is the view of Dr. Israr Ahmad, by the way. He gives a very nice explanation of it, although I could make it a little bit better if I add it. So he says that he says it by relating it to Surah Al-Araf, ayat number 11, by saying, لَقَدْ خَلَقْنَاكُمْ ثُمَّ صَوَّرْنَاكُمْ. So if you notice in Arabic, لَقَدْ خَلَقْنَاكُمْ ثُمَّ صَوَّرْنَاكُمْ. These are plural. So anyone who knows basic Arabic can realize that, okay, if Allah is saying kum, if Allah is giving plural words, it means that Allah created not just one being. It wasn't just Adam. It was a bunch of species. So clearly here is the first indication that it's not just Adam that was created. So Dr. Israr Ahmad, one of the most famous Quranic exegetes from Pakistan, he says that he chose one of the Homo sapiens species, performed miracles on it using clay, which is mentioned in other surahs as Salsal, especially in Surah Rahman and the Quran's 15 surah. I forgot his name. What was the surah number 15? Can you remind me of that just in case? I mean,
Surah 15.
yeah, Surah Al-Hijr. Yeah, in Surah Al-Hijr and Surah Rahman, Allah Subhanahu wa Taala mentions clearly Salsal. Salsal is clay, and Iqra bismi rabbika alladhi khalaq khalaqal insana min 'alaq Iqra bi rabbikal akram allama al-insana bil
Mashallah, you
qalam.
memorized it.
And yeah, I mean, so the thing is, Allah uses some ingredients in His miracle. So the thing is, what Dr. Israr Ahmad says is that he uses these ingredients, and then she chooses one of the species from Homo sapiens, and then creates Adam alayhi salam by blowing spirit into him. And the thing is, in Surah Al Imran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala likens Hazrat Isa alayhi salam to Adam alayhi salam. So how I see this as Hazrat Adam alayhi salam and Hazrat Isa alayhi salam did not have a biological
Parents.
father. Yeah, biological father to be precise. So whenever Allah uses the word kun, so that is when some miraculous things happen, right? So whenever Allah says kun, I'll be specific towards the verse I'm mentioning. So when Allah uses the word kun for Hazrat Isa alayhi salam, he was born without a father. And when Allah used the word kun, Adam alayhi salam was born without a father too. Or you could say that the link between Adam alayhi salam and the biological birth, which was basically, as you could say, pre-Adamites, that relation was broken when Allah blew a soul into him. So that's how I see it. So that's how I see it. I mean, I don't find anything contradictory between Islam and evolution.
No, it's an interesting thing. So basically, you're saying that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created Adam alayhi salam in a special way.
Mm-hmm, yeah, miraculously to be very precise.
By the way, another thing I think, just to give a little pushback, it's okay. So one thing I feel in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala constantly reminds us is that he was in paradise, right? So how do you reconcile that?
Oh, fair enough. I mean, it's not something which is difficult to reconcile, right? I mean, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chose one of the species to perform miracles on it, he would have easily sent him to paradise. And I mean, I don't see what's wrong here.
Well, I mean, isn't it much easier to reconcile that maybe he took, I don't know, for example, there's a hadith, right? Let me see if I can share it with you.
Sure.
This is a Hassan hadith, but I think it's interesting because it says that Allah has removed the pride of Jahiliyyah from you, and boasting about lineage. A person is either a pious believer or a miserable sinner. And the people are the children of Adam, and Adam is from dirt.
From clay.
From dirt, clay.
From turab.
So, yeah. So this is interesting hadith. So here, Prophet ﷺ is saying that Adam is from clay. So he's not mentioning any pre-human or any relationship with other species.
As I said, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chose Adam alayhi salam from a species, right? He used clay, which is mentioned as salsal or turab as mentioned here. And if you see the Surah Al-Hijr and Surah Ar-Rahman, the word mentioned there is salsal, right? Salsal and turab are basically the same kind of things in, if you can say, dirt or clay. That's
Okay.
that's the kind of thing which we're mentioning here. And Allah used these things as an ingredient when He was performing His miracles. So he used this. He shaped Adam alayhi salam with the turab or salsal, as whatever you like to call it, and then He created Adam alayhi salam.
Okay. So
This is how I see it. Although it's not an absolute, I don't take an absolute position on it. I am open to hearing other positions on it as well. But this is how I understand it, basically.
okay. Personally, I would not take this view. My personal opinion.
Why
Because
not?
I feel like it doesn't really go along with the evidences at hand. You know,
Which evidence from where?
for example, here Prophet ﷺ is clearly saying that he's talking about lineage, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because people back then used to take pride in their lineage, but here he's saying that you shouldn't take pride because you're from Adam and Adam is from dirt, which means he didn't have any relationship with any other species. He was created from dirt.
It doesn't say anything that if he had anything or any other relationship. That as I'm saying, like if he's created from dirt or if he's created from clay, clay and dirt were one of the ingredients. Clay or dirt was one of the ingredients which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala used to create Adam alayhi salam.
Okay.
So it's not any different, to be honest.
Yeah, but no, I think you missed my point. Prophet ﷺ is saying that he's talking about lineage, right? Because people used to
No, I don't think
boast
so.
about the lineage. Here it says that Allah has removed the pride of Jahiliyyah from you and boasting about lineage. Meaning is about people's lineage, right?
I mean, boasting about lineage, as in, you know that there is a hadith in Bukhari and Sahih Muslim that a woman is chosen for 4 things, and one of those 4 things is caste and lineage, right? People, and I mean, if you can open that hadith, you can see that there are 4 things, and I'm pretty sure you know of it. There is beauty,
Okay.
wealth, and caste, and then there is
Okay.
piety. And if you do not choose piety, you will be among the losers. This is what the hadith says. Yeah,
Okay.
may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive me for any mistake. But the thing is, people used to take pride in not just caste, and taking pride on caste is not something which is very much right. So it is something which was a part of the people of the Jahiliyyah, and people of Jahiliyyah also used to take pride in their wealth as well. So I don't see it being any different.
No, I mean the difference here is that Prophet ﷺ is saying that Adam came from dirt. You know, so literally you also came from dirt. Because so you shouldn't take pride in your lineage, right?
Yeah.
So basically, he's confirming that Adam as-salam was created by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in a special way, and without any relation to any other species.
It's not mentioning it's not mentioning without any relationship with other species. It's just saying that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala used dirt. It's mentioning dirt, but it's not mentioning that dirt was the only thing.
Okay, but wouldn't he mention that?
I mean, okay.
I mean, it's pretty important.
I'll tell you something. I'll tell you something as well. I mean, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was not assigned to. Sorry, he did not give us everything. He did not give us everything in A to Z. Right? There are a lot of things which are for us to discover as well.
Okay.
So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not mention everything A to Z. I mean, if he would have revealed everything down to us, what would there be the need of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala focusing so much on ilm, and the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam has focused too much on gaining knowledge, and if he told us everything, what's the point then?
Okay, yeah, but isn't this an important information though? I mean, there being I don't know, like pre-human species. I mean, for example, he mentions jinns, right? I mean, that's not that important for us to know, but he still mentions them because it's related to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his creation. So don't you think he would have mentioned that, or at least Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam would have mentioned that there was a relationship with this species. The species existed. That's where we came from.
Well, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had to mention something so important, then he could have mentioned something as saying that did the Earth come as a result of the Big Bang, or did the Earth or the universe come as a result of the multiverse? There are some scholars who take the reference of Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen as saying there are different universes. So they take that, okay, the Earth may have come from a multiverse environment, or if you take Surah Al-Anbiya, ayat number 30, where people, or number 29, I'm not exactly sure, where people say, yeah, the universe came as a result of the Big Bang. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had to give us everything, then what's the point? I mean, okay, this is important information of where did we come from, where did we or any other species came from, right? So if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had to mention something important like that, fine. As I said, I'm open to different schools of thought, but even this doesn't make a case against evolution here.
No, I'm not making a case against evolution necessarily, but I'm just saying that I think that it makes more sense that Adam alayhi salam was created separately, and his lineage is separate than the other species. Whether the evolution happened or not, it doesn't really concern.
Well, this is what evolution actually says. Humans had a different branch. Humans have a different lineage, and all the other animals have a different lineage.
But
in essence, we're all coming from a common ancestor. This is what is coming from evolution.
Yeah, but don't the, correct me if I'm mistaken, the evolutionary scientists, as far as I know, don't they mention that we come from common species, that common ancestors?
That common ancestor is that single cell which was created in the primordial soup. It wasn't, but whenever they say that we are coming from a common ancestor, it's not the monkey or the ape. It's not that.
No, I'm not saying that.
Yeah,
like, it seems
I showed you. I mean, I told you at the start of this video, or the start of this stream, that لَقَدْ خَلَقْنَاكُمْ ثُمَّ صَوَّرْنَاكُمْ. These are plurals. This isn't خَلَقْنَاكُمْ creations. It's not creation. Creations.
Yeah, but
if
we
you
know
get
that,
open Surah Araf, ayat number 11, it's mentioned. It was mentioned that way.
okay, but we know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had other creations. For example, angels are a creation. It doesn't necessarily have to be, other species.
Okay, if it doesn't necessarily have to be other species, so by what reason are we rejecting the other species?
Well, because
okay, if we are rejecting something, we need to have some reason for that, right? So if I'm implying something from which is
that's a fallacy, actually.
what kind of fallacy?
Burden of proof fallacy.
As I say, I have the burden of proof, but I gave you the proof, right? I told you that they were plural.
Yeah, but it's not a proof though.
What's
it's ambiguous.
Not a proof, then?
It's ambiguous, right?
Then,
because
then it's also ambiguous. The thing
that, for example, the verse doesn't necessarily mean that there were other species. It just means there are other creations.
Yeah.
For example, we know there were jinns. Jinns existed before human beings. Angels existed before human beings.
Okay.
For example, there are 3 different opinions of the scholars, right? One of them is that there was no creation on earth, and one of them is that there were jinns, right? So, but none of the opinions, they say that there were, there were, like Adam alayhi salam had ancestors or anything like that.
I gave you one of the opinions, right? This is not my opinion. This is the opinion of a very, very famous scholar from Pakistan. He's been to India as well, and he's traveled all over the world giving lectures on Islam. And one of his lecture, one white person actually asked him that, don't you find it problematic that you believe in evolution, but have you received criticism on this? He said, I do believe in evolution, but I don't believe in Darwinian evolution.
Okay.
See where the burden of proof is. I've given you my proof so far.
Yeah, but your proof is ambiguous.
No, it isn't.
But
no, it isn't. I mean, I told you. I told you. I mean, it's coming from a famous Quranic exegete. It's not me. It's not me who's saying this.
Yeah, but the majority of scholars' opinion is not that, though.
So, okay. So, do you think that the truth is? Do you think that the truth is democratic?
Truth is not democratic, but if
then why are you saying that that because the majority say it has to be true?
No, that's not what I'm saying. Let me say it. For example, if a bunch of academic scholars So let's say scientists, right? If a bunch of scientists who have done the studies, they've done the research, they all come to the one conclusion, and then there's one guy who comes to some other conclusion, what is more likely? For me personally, I think that all these different scholars who have studied, in more in depth, by the way, who have years of studies, and they've all come to one conclusion. Then there's one person who have another conclusion. Personally, I would go with what the majority of the scholars have said, right? Because that makes more sense. And personally, I don't see a strong enough evidence for this. So, that's just my personal. But in this case, I don't see any strong evidence for this opinion.
Okay, then what do you have to say about the plural things about creations? Okay, as I said, the Quran is silent on the vast majority of things. Okay, the Quran is silent on a lot of things. The Quran is silent on a lot of things, and it's silent because we are the ones who have to study it. We are the ones who have to go into the details and study what best explains reality, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given the responsibility of learning to us, and the thing is, he has just given us hints that these are the hints. You need to use these hints and find out what's true.
No, I agree, but I think if you're just in the Quran, I personally, actually as a one point in time, I actually contemplated this, and I thought that maybe back then I was really a big fan of Zakir Naik. I still am, but I think his method was a little faulty, to say the least. But my position was that maybe there's a way to reconcile between evolution and what Islamic Orthodoxy has to say.
Exactly.
But the thing is that problem is, if you look at the hadith and what the Prophet said and how he explained it, and remember one thing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that if you have any question, go to the Prophet, right? And the thing is that he never really mentioned anything about Adam alayhi salam having any type of connection or having ancestors beyond him.
Because nobody asked that question.
Well, that's a fair point, but still, I think he would have mentioned it because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that if you have any question, if you want to explain or understand, he's the best one to explain it to us, right?
Okay,
and I think
let me tell you, okay, you're opening asuna.com, right? The people have asked some strange questions to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, like, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who is my father? Like, and then people used to ask a lot of other questions, like, oh my God. People used to ask a lot of similar questions to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and there came a point where he became angry that why are people asking me stupid questions? And Hazrat Umar radhiyallahu anhu had to apologize on their behalf, that if you're asking the Prophet ﷺ some questions, you have to ask some valid questions. But if nobody asks a question, then fair enough. People have asked stupid questions to the Prophet ﷺ, and the Prophet ﷺ did not feel the need to reply.
Okay.
And when there was a valid question, the Prophet ﷺ felt the need to reply. And that something is not explicitly mentioned, it's probably because nobody asked it, or it's probably because they didn't care, or it's okay. I'm actually implying. I'm not saying anything explicitly. I'm actually implying things too, because that's how I read it, and that's how other scholars have read it too.
Okay. Like, the thing is that there's two problems here. One is that it's not mentioned in the Quran. The second is that it's not mentioned by the Prophet. Now, if it was even like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, like, made the Quran clear, right? Like, if it was either mentioned in the Quran and maybe not in the Hadith, no problem. If it was mentioned in the Hadith, not in the Quran, no problem. But the issue is, it's not mentioned anywhere, clearly. But the thing is that it's a very important issue for Muslims, because the thing is that if Adam alayhi salam had ancestors, that changes everything.
Are protons, electrons, and neutrons mentioned in the Quran or in the Hadith?
False equivalence. That's not the same thing.
No.
You know this.
No, it's not false equivalence. No, it's exactly the. I mean,
protons and neutrons are not important for us, but knowing that the Adam alayhi salam had ancestors is important for us.
It's an important question because we made it an important question.
Because one of the things that made Adam alayhi salam special, he didn't have parents.
As I said, okay, even if there is, I take parents of Adam alayhi salam as very vague. I don't take it as a literal parent. I take it as a very vague parent. I don't, because
yeah, but
Allah,
why do you have to take that though, right? I mean, if it's not mentioned, then it's not mentioned. It's a weak opinion. I don't think we should accept that.
Yeah, I gave you enough evidence so far that even if an evidence is a minority evidence, it can be true either. Because there might come one point in time where, I mean, it's very much possible. It has happened before. It can happen anywhere in the future that the minority opinion can become.
The thing is
I
that,
had a recent live stream with a PhD in sociology and Sheikh Kamal Ahmed from Saudi Arabia, although he lives in Canada, but he spent 16 years of his life in Saudi Arabia. And he said that ijma is a tool of coming to the truth,
okay,
but there, even though that it can be overruled as well, but it's a tool. Ijma is a tool. Ijma is not something that it's 100% absolute. I mean, okay, take it this way. I mean, you're in Bangladesh, right? In Canada, a few months ago, everyone in Canada, okay, not just Canada, everyone in Canada, USA, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Qatar, Oman, Jordan, Syria, Iraq, they all decided that they all gave an ijma that mosques should remain closed, right?
okay,
Bangladesh, Pakistan, and India said, no, we don't need our mosques to be closed.
okay.
There was an ijma at one place, but there was another ijma at another place. So do
Okay.
you think that an ijma of such kind holds a truth value?
That's different though. But what I was saying was that that's kind of different because
Why is it different?
one is about academics all agreeing on something, and the other is about whether mosques should be closed or not, right? So
Though
because
they were
when it comes to
academics who agreed on that.
well, yeah, but it's about legal issues, right? It's not whether something about, let's say, for the Islamic history, let's say, or Islamic theology, right? So on matters of theology, like if we don't really have any either way, like if you don't have a strong opinion to go by or strong evidence to go by, I don't see any reason to take an opinion that's not mentioned by the scholars, that's not accepted.
Okay, I feel like there is a little bit of miscommunication in this part, because so basically what Brother Zazib was trying to insinuate is that I'm saying that you know that if a majority of scholars says something and a few minority scholars say something against that, that's and if you take the minority opinion, you're not necessarily wrong, because just because they're the majority doesn't necessarily mean they're right. And he would be right, because that is actually a fallacy, logical fallacy, known as the fallacy of appeal to popularity, I believe. So basically the idea here is that truth is democratic, or whatever the majority decides is the truth. But in reality, we know that that's not the case. For example, majority can decide something that is wrong, and it happens all the time. So it would be a fallacy if I said that. But the thing is, I never said that. So if you notice in my discussion, I actually make it clear that my position is not that just because the majority says it, therefore it's true. No. My position is that the majority says that, and also, if you look at the evidence itself, it does not point to the theory that he is alluding to. So basically, there are three things. Number one, the majority of scholars do not support this view. Number two, there's nothing in the Quran or the Sunnah that shows any hints or even a possibility towards this view. I mean, a clear possibility towards the view. There is no evidence for it whatsoever. It simply does not exist. Number three, Prophet Muhammad never mentioned this, not even once. So there's literally no evidence for this. So the burden of proof is upon them, and they have to bring a complete, clear, and concise evidence for this, because this is a major claim, right? And that's the challenge. That's what they have to do. So far, I don't think Brother Zazib or people who propagate this view have this type of evidence. And if they don't, then it is completely illogical to take this minority view, because it's just not logical. because if these things, if you cannot disprove these three premises, then I'm sorry, but this is not something that can be called or even justified from that point of view. But that's my opinion. And yeah, and so yeah, and that's it. Like, if you believe that this theory of there being common ancestors, you have to refute these three premises. And if you cannot, then I'm sorry, but your theory is probably not acceptable. This view is not acceptable. It's a minority view, and it's a very weak view that I don't think most scholars would agree with. And it is also illogical, and and Prophet Muhammad didn't say anything about it, so we have literally no reason to accept this view. Still, I want to thank Brother Jazib for having this live discussion with me. It was interesting, and again, thank you guys for watching, and yeah, that's it. With that, I want to end the video. Jazakallah khairan. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi.